I call the member for Rockdale.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I rise to support the Third Amendment Seafood Country of Origin Labelling Bill 2017 to help provide fair information to consumers and give our high-quality local seafood the recognition it deserves. At the outset, I wish to acknowledge the hard work that my colleague, Dave Meehan, has put towards developing this bill and the extensive consultation he has undertaken with representatives from many sectors of the industry. The broad support the bill has received from the Australian fishing industry, small retailers, as well as parts of the food industry is indicative of the great work David has done in selling these reforms, as well as the common sense of the bill. Mr Speaker, country of origin labelling laws already apply in supermarkets, but it is our small retailers, our local fish and chip shops and seafood restaurants which often need to differentiate themselves by selling the premium product, which are the most disadvantaged by the lack of labelling laws. Speaking to one fishmonger in San Susi, she stated the lack of awareness around local fish versus imported, usually frozen products, means that it is currently very difficult to get a fantastic local fish into the hands of consumers, in large because most people assume that the fish they're buying is locally caught. We often have issues around advantaging Australian products where we see the shadow of protectionism invoked. In this case, though, we must address a disadvantage where fishmongers across our state would like to be able to sell high-quality local products. Consumers want to buy local fish that they can trust to be the best quality, but insufficient information is supplied to the purchaser when they go to buy seafood. Essentially, Mr Speaker, this bill does not seek to advantage local product, but rather remove local products from the existing position of disadvantage. The quality of fish is something we know that the Australian public takes seriously, and our fishing industry is one in which we, as a state and a nation, hold a great deal of pride. As my colleague David Meehan pointed out in introducing the bill, there is currently a strong assumption among the public that when they're buying seafood, it has been caught in Australia. Sadly, this just isn't the case, and with the concerns many consumers have around contamination, excess mercury and the like, they deserve to know that when they're eating fish, it has come from somewhere they trust. We take pride in the cleanliness of our waterways, the high standards expected of our domestic industries and our world-leading food safety laws. And foreign imports should not be able to coast by on a combination of misinformation and the sterling reputation of our local fishers that our local fishers have built over generations. Mr Speaker, this bill is a very reasonable and thoughtful step forward, with long and fair lead-in times which allow smaller businesses the necessary provision to get this right. I have no doubt that with greater information around the origin of our seafood, consumers will want to buy Australian seafood not simply because it is the local product, but because they know that it is a superior product, Mr Speaker. The disclosure requirements within the bill are simple and uniform, and provide the exact kind of certainty that small business want. If seafood is imported, you'll need to declare that it's imported. But for Australian products, a locality will suffice. We know already that most restaurants and fish and chip shops will proudly display the origin of local products when they are selling them. And it is a point of pride to have Sydney rock oysters, Tasmanian salmon or Murray Cod River on the menu. For many years we could no longer eat Murray River cod due to its dwindling population. But so popular was this great local New South Wales favourite that a booming fish farming industry has brought this succulent fish back to our plates. Similarly, the growth of salmon farming in Tasmania, which now employs more than 5,200 people and generates almost $1 billion in sales revenue each year, shows that the Australian public want to support our world-class fishing industry because they know and trust our produce. Mr Speaker, as I've already said, it is not our Australian products which need an image boost or any form of protectionism, but it is imported products which people incorrectly believe to be locally sourced that need to be labelled fairly. While local fishmongers with a passion for their product may wish to provide stronger product differentiation for their Australian produce, we couldn't expect any reasonable business operator to unilaterally degrade their other products without a uniform requirement across the entire industry. Throughout my life in business, the one thing we always wanted from the government was certainty. And this bill will provide that certainty by requiring all businesses to comply with fair and transparent labelling of their products, while still allowing for exceptions where necessary, such as the children's menu items and so on. Mr Speaker, the bill contributes to a proud Australian tradition. Who among us does not have fond memories of a beer-battered flathead from our local friendly fish and chip shop? And when we're biting into that flaky beer batter, what we always expected and continue to expect is the taste of great local product. Sadly, this assumption is no longer facing up to reality, with it being much more likely that your product has travelled thousands of miles and been frozen for God knows how long before it reaches your plate. As a matter of fact, Mr Speaker, I was speaking to a colleague on this side of the fence, actually the member for Lakemba, Dib, who was recently told me of a situation where he was
He's behind you.
He was romanced. Oh, sorry. Yeah, he was romanced by a $10 plate of fish, chips, and salad in his local area. And he thought it was a wonderful beer-battered flathead, but he's sitting there for about 2 weeks, I think it was, chewing away at this fish, which he didn't. I don't think he really appreciated, but he did appreciate the price, I suppose. But at the end of the day, I think on about the 10th occasion, he's pulled out a bit of a whisker out of the fish, and he's recognised and established that it was some foreign form of frozen catfish, Mr Speaker. No. And this is the situation we need to avoid. Member for Lakemba needs to know the quality of fish that he's eating, where it's coming from. So,
did he have
Mr Speaker, that's a real situation.
Australian catfish. That's what you get for $10.
You might have to dig a little bit deeper in the future to get something that's better quality. But seriously, Speaker, we do take our food seriously here in Australia.
We do.
And it's time we got our much-loved seafood back up to the standard by celebrating our local products and putting them back on the level playing field with their imported competition. I encourage this House to support the Food Amendment Seafood Country of Origin Labelling Bill 2017 to ensure future generations continue to enjoy the great locally produced seafood we know and love. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Yeah, well said. Is that why you never had lunch in my electorate?
Here ends the lesson.